then guys, how's it going, and welcome back to Toon Tuesdays, your weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. And we've got some good news. Very happy after the weekend. Obviously today I'm going to be talking about Newcastle's very good win over Spurs. I'll also be talking a little bit about the upcoming Leicester game, which is tomorrow night in the Carabao Cup. I'll be talking about the Watford game at the weekend, and I'll also talk a little bit about Michael Chopra. His name has been up and around quite a lot at the minute relating to comments about Newcastle United, so I want to see what you guys think of that. But we'll start things off, as I said, bank holiday weekend, the sun was shining. What could make it better than a Newcastle 1-0 win over Spurs? Now, I will totally eat my humble pie, or I'll eat my own words, or whatever way you want to put it, because last week, after we'd lost to Norwich, I said I couldn't see a better scoreline than the Norwich game. I thought we were going to do either worse or the same. But one thing I also said, and we all know this about Newcastle, and I don't get it, is how we can be so useless against a team we should really be beating, and then go out and have a cracking performance against one of the top six, or a team that no one gives us a chance against. So, no idea why we do it that way around, but as long as we've got 3 points, I'm happy. And maybe just that Norwich game was the kick up the backside we needed to go and put that performance in against Spurs. As I say, I'm sure you've all seen the highlights, so I won't bang on about the game too long, but honourable mentions, Joe Linton, fantastic that he got the goal, and I just think overall he had a very good game, holding the ball up when he needed to, finding the pass when he needed to, and obviously the fact that he got himself a goal as well. If he can play like that in every game from now, it will be a humongous asset to us this season. Great ball from Atsu over the top of the head of Sanchez. Perfect first touch from Joe Linton, brought it onto his left foot to smack into the bottom left-hand corner. Obviously, not controversy, penalties, VAR. I think it was Son got brought down in the first half. Wasn't given a pen. Don't even think it went to VAR. I think Shaw basically went in for the. Well, I seen it. He went in for the sliding tackle. I do think he just nicked the ball away from him. So there wasn't much about that one. But the one that everyone's been talking about, Harry Kane running onto the ball. Jamal Lascelles slips, legitimately slips, and as he's going down, I think he's still thinking in his head, I need to stop Harry Kane from shooting. So by doing so, he almost flails his head, body, everything at the ball, and then the process does kind of fall into the lane of Harry Kane, and obviously Harry Kane falls over. You know what? It wasn't given. VAR is there to overturn a clear and obvious decision, and even as a biased Newcastle fan, I'm still not 100% sure if it is or if it's not. I think most Newcastle fans will say it isn't. Most Tottenham fans will say it was. So, you know what I mean? But in terms of it, I think Harry Kane Harry Kane and Lascelles were both leading into each other. Lascelles falls over, so because they're leaning into each other, he's obviously going to fall into his path. Because Harry Kane was leaning into Lascelles, he is going to fall into his path. So because of that, it's just so 50-50. The ref didn't give it as a pen, and I don't personally think it was clear and obvious enough for it to have been overturned. If I was a Spurs fan and I was watching it back, maybe I would feel hard done too. But I'm just happy we got 3 points. But let me know down below, to be fair. I know many of you guys are Newcastle fans, but some of you might not be. Let me know down below, do you think it was a pen or do you not? The other big talking point was the fact that I think we had 20% possession in the game, which is obviously very low. But, and yes, we were playing the counter-attacking game. We are going to Spurs. They are a better team than us. They've got better players than us. That was always going to be our game plan. And yes, Joe Linton got the goal, but you know what it is? honestly think we could have had 2 or 3. I know we didn't have loads of attacks, but shot-wise, I thought, I don't think our stats in shots on goal or shots on target are that dissimilar to what Spurs were doing. So yes, they had all the ball, but in terms of attacking moves, we were pretty much countering each other out all the way through the match. So on a different day, maybe we could have had 2 or 3, and on another day, they could have definitely had 2 or 3 as well, especially near the end when Lucas Moura effectively missed an absolute sitter. I was very happy to see that go wide. And then Dummett was fantastic, great saves from Dubravka, all around a fantastic team performance, and obviously people are praising Steve Bruce as well for the fact that, yes, we had an absolute nightmare against Norwich, but he sorted them out, they knew what they're doing, the players knew the game plan, and it worked. So we are off the mark because of the fact that everyone has beaten everyone after the first 3 games in the season. We are still sitting in 19th place. So despite getting our first win of the season, we're still sitting second bottom. But it's 3 points on the board, and we can keep working at it and keep trying to build the points. Steve Bruce has been saying that it's an important 7 days that Newcastle United are about to go through, and we started off this important 7 days by beating Spurs on Sunday. So that is not a bad way to start off an important week. The next game in these 7 days is tomorrow night against Leicester in the Carabao Cup. There is actually Carabao Cup football on tonight, but we are playing tomorrow, 8:15 at St James's Park against Leicester. I mean, how typical Newcastle is it to be a part of the only 2 Premier League teams who have drawn each other in the Cup already? Actually, well, it's more typical Newcastle would probably be drawing a League 2 team and then losing. But I am positive for tomorrow night. I know we have drawn, we are in the only Premier League game, but we have just beaten Spurs. Hopefully that is a massive pick-me-up and a confidence boost for the lads. And hopefully we can take it in to tomorrow night. Brendan Rodgers has come out and said he will be playing a strong team. I thought there would be. It's too early in the season, I think, for to be resting players. I think Leicester will make a couple of changes, but maybe I was secretly hoping they might be playing, I don't know, a reserve team. But I think they're going to be going for it, and I know we are going to be going for it because Steve Bruce came out at the start of the season and said one of the things he really wants to do is go for a cup. Playing Leicester in the first round of that cup is probably not the hope, not the start that he wanted, but if we are going to get to the quarterfinals or the semis or whatever, you're going to have to beat some good teams, so why not start tomorrow night against Leicester? I am going to the game. I know I mentioned last week that the amount of tickets being sold is predicted at 15,000, or that's what it was the last time I heard. I imagine it's gone up now. Since the Spurs game, I imagine a couple of other people might have been interested. But again, I said last week, it's a tenner to sit anywhere you want in the stadium. My mate has got some tickets and asked if I fancied it. So I've said yes. We're meant to have a pretty nice seat in the middle of the halfway line, you know, which is quite nice compared to my seat in the sky that I normally sit in. So yeah, tomorrow night, looking forward to it. Fingers crossed we can get through this round against Leicester. And the third game in this important 7 days for Newcastle United, as I've mentioned already, on Saturday we are playing against Watford at St James's Park. And I mentioned earlier, despite the fact that we went and got our first win of the season, we're still only sitting in 19th place. Who's sitting in 20th place? Watford on 0 points. So I'm surprised. You know, I didn't do a Premier League prediction before the start of the season, but if I had, I would have had Watford around mid-table. They've had a really poor start. It's probably due to the fact that I've got Foster in net in my fantasy team, so obviously he's going to do terrible. That's why I didn't put any Newcastle players in my team this year, because I knew that would be a jinx. But It's what I said already. You know, we'll go and play Norwich. Everyone thinks we're going to win. We'll go and play Spurs. No one thinks we're going to win, and we do. Watford at home. They are currently on no points. You've got to look at that as a chance to beat them when they're down, basically. We need to go out there. We need to show them what we can do and take 3 points from them. Don't walk into it expecting anything, you know. Let's keep this motivation high from Spurs. Let's do it again against Leicester, and let's get 3. As I say, I agree with Steve Bruce. I think this is an important 7 days. It could be, we have started it off on the biggest high possible, you know. A draw in that game would have had people lifted. A win has got everyone lifted. Let's continue it against Leicester, and then I think more importantly against Watford, it is the Premier League. I'd like a cup run, don't get me wrong, but 3 points against Watford before going into the international break would be exactly what we need. And to finish things off, I'm not going to touch on this too long, but I was interested to see what you guys thought, and as I say, since the last time I did my Toon Tuesdays, it's kind of like creeping up and creeping out again. Basically, Michael Chopra, ex-Newcastle United player, he came out and kind of said, you know, Ashley isn't good for the club. And, you know, when I first heard that, I thought, wow, you know, obviously Rafa Benitez has been having his say at the minute. Ex-Newcastle players come out and had his say on it. And I thought it was very positive. It was positive that finally someone who's kind of well known and spoken, and he was getting invited to be on TalkSport and various other outlets to kind of have his say. And I thought, wow, there is a big movement for this year. And then more recently, he started slating Steve Bruce, which, I mean, everyone's got an opinion. I had mine. I said, you know, I wasn't overly ecstatic about the fact that Steve Bruce had come in. However, at this point down the line, he's kind of here. And me slagging off our own manager isn't going to be any good for the team. Not that any of them will probably watch it or pay attention. But to have someone who's kind of a bit more outspoken, has been on TalkSport, has kind of said that people will be listening. And obviously Steve Bruce had made his own comments saying, why is this guy getting any time? What he's saying is incorrect. And that isn't good for the team. And fair enough if you're not unhappy with the owner, like a lot of people are. And in that sense, I think the publicity was good. But to effectively be having an argument with our own Newcastle manager, I just feel like it just got out of hand. Chopra said that he'd spoken to players, and the players had told Chopra that they don't know what they're doing. They're not sure what they're meant to be doing. In fairness, this was all before the Tottenham game. So have the players been specifically told what to do following the Steve Bruce's criticism, or is that just all coincidental? I don't know, but since the Tottenham wins, Chopra has come out again and actually praised Steve Bruce. So I think that will probably be maybe where that ends. But let me know your thoughts on that kind of thing. As I say, I think having a player come out and make comments, a bit of publicity against Mike Ashley was positive when I first saw it, but then when it kind of started becoming a bit of a tiff between Steve Bruce and Michael Chopra, I was like, whatever good that was trying to achieve seems to have been a bit lost. But let me know what you guys think on that one. And yeah, that is where I'm going to end the video, guys. As I said, I am going to the Leicester game tomorrow night. It's going to be a full night of it. I'm going for drinks beforehand. I'll be drinking after the game as well. So if I'm a bit tipsy in the video, I do apologise. But fingers crossed we can get a win. And as I said, more importantly, 3 points against Watford at the weekend. Alright, have a great week. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the football tonight, enjoy the football tomorrow, and for the rest of the week. And I'll catch you later.